Hi, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our January meeting. Good thing we're recording. Merlin is not here yet to take minutes. But since we have a recording, is there anyone here for public comments? Okay. I see a meeting guest on the on meeting participants. And just for the record, I'd love to know who that is. Or not. Okay, well, let's continue with last meeting minutes and action items. Fred, is that something you're going to pull out? Is it something I should pull?
Sorry.
Oh, no, no. Sorry. Yeah, usually Dan does it, so I don't know who's going to.
Let's see, I could try and pull it up real quick. But if others want to do this simultaneously, you can see who wins. Okay, just got there.
Okay. Oh. So you got it? Because I just pulled it up.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, great. Oh,
this is the agenda. You're looking for the minutes?
yes.
Okay, sorry. If you have it, maybe you should go ahead and pull that up. Thank you.
Sure. Let me just. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Great. Okay. We had quite a lot of action items from the last month that were rolling in. Sarah, do you have any updates from Rox Hill Elementary about Healthy Streets?
No, I don't have anything new on that.
And Marnie is not here today. And do we have any information about sidewalks?
So within the Seattle Transportation Plan, there are maps that show where the missing sidewalks are.
Mm-hmm. Great.
And so maybe that's something that I could send like the page number out to the group.
That'd be great. I did not send out the calendar, and I'm sorry. I will do it for February meeting. Mary Ellen is going to present later about the code change, or lack thereof. And Ryan, did you have a chance to talk to your council member?
I did. I'm working on getting a meeting scheduled with his new staff now that it's in place. So reached out, got a positive response, led to me. Thank you. I just need to get it scheduled with the staff. Yeah.
Can I attend that meeting with you, Ryan?
That's I'm working. I will work on getting scheduled. But yes, Mary. Okay. So Mary Ellen. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll include you.
Kelsey, did you have a chance to connect to the statewide committee?
No, I haven't. Sorry, I will do that this week, today.
And Brooke, did you reach out to Ingram High School?
No, I didn't.
Must be January. Well, that is it for last month's meeting. Let me stop sharing it.
Oh, wait. Was that to reach out to the students and to Robbie and relay that information?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, we're good on that.
Oh, okay. We'll need a motion to accept the minutes.
I move to accept the minutes.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passed. Brooke and Yvonne. I think you're the next on the agenda.
Okay. Not much going on my end. That's positive. Let's put it that way. Okay, so the Hazel Wolf, I had a guy there was out on medical leave. He officially did resign for medical reasons. And then we lost one guard at Thurgood Marshall and Bailey Gatzert. He swears he'll be back this fall. He had a really super bad accident, broke 2 legs and an arm. So he is going to be off for the rest of this year. So hopefully maybe somebody will apply and we can put him in there as a sub.
And that's Thurgood Marshall?
He does a dual post, Thurgood Marshall and Bailey Gatzert. And the one really neat thing was the school from Thurgood Marshall did a GoFundMe and he's already over $6,000. So that to help with his medical bills. So that was a really nice thing. And they said they're going to look for somebody that could, fill in as a sub for him there also. And let's see, I've got a couple of new applicants. They still need to be fingerprinted. I've got one that has been fingerprinted, just waiting for that to clear. And he wants to go to Highland Park. My question to the group is, and I don't remember this, I got a email from the principal at Magnolia. Did we ever approve a post at Magnolia? That doesn't ring a bell with me. I know we got some at Catherine Blaine, but I don't. Anyway, they said they've got somebody interested in it. And the way the email read, it sounded like, yes, we did approve it, but that is not ringing a bell with me. So anybody else have a better memory than I do?
I
remember.
I don't remember Magnolia. That's true.
I thought we did. Let me look back in minutes. Like back, it would have been 2022.
But anyway, nobody's ever, I can't get anybody at Catherine Blaine, so there's only one person there and they still have a post opening there. So so anyway, they said somebody's interested and I'm going, yay, but do we even have a post that's available? Otherwise I could shoot them over to Catherine Blaine. Anyway, that's all I've got.
And I confirm with Brooke that we do have an opening on the map. But we'll just need to make sure that it was approved and
Yeah, and then if anyone has more details of where exactly that opening is, I have the little point, but Yvonne was wondering.
Yeah, it looks like it's at 28th and hang on.
Yeah.
Is that Smith, I think?
Smith and
Yeah,
28.
28th West and West Smith is what it shows on the crossing guard map.
28 West 28th Avenue Street, whatever.
28th Avenue West and
Avenue
West
West.
Smith. So it's at the corner right in front of the school.
Okay. I'll put it on my radar and I'll reach out to the principal and see who wants to apply. That's great. Okay.
so
Thank
it's
you.
like maybe good news in the world. Maybe we got a position available. Well,
Right, well, yeah. Otherwise it's another open position and I don't need that. So it's like, yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I'll go ahead and give my update and it'll kind of move into my future projects. So let's see, in the last month, I've been getting a little bit more involved with the Safe Routes to School Leadership Group, the Washington State group. And so we had a conversation about like barriers to our work and what sort of like policies either hold up or might be a barrier to our work. And so that was that follow-up that I sent yesterday about the House bill, was kind of in response to the conversation that we had here and at that group. And I've been getting a little bit more involved with the transportation team at SPS. So that's been helpful. I've gotten a couple of referrals of, like I connected with Ryan about someone who requested a walk group at Fairmount Park, from a transportation coordinator who couldn't offer bus service, but then we were able to make a connection for walk groups. So that's a fruitful partnership to be having. I've been doing a lot of bike distribution. We've gotten awesome bike donations lately. So Sarah was a big part of, I think, securing the bikes from Cascade. Cascade Bike Club got a donation of 30 bikes from REI that they passed on to our bike buses at Dunlap and South Shore. So I worked with their school family support workers to identify families who would need bikes and could use them for transportation to school and to improve attendance for students. And I'll be sharing some other like safety resources with them. And then I just got word yesterday that there's another big donation coming in for Wing Luke and Hawthorne from a Seahawks player. So there's going to be that's going to keep me busy for a little bit. There's a lot of bikes to assemble, and just coordinating how to figure out how to get them out, who to get them to. But first off, they're all going to come in boxes. So we're going to need to get together some assembly parties.
If anybody has bike assembly interest, let
Yes.
Brooke know.
All right.
I'll do it.
Sweet.
I might know some other people too.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. We'll probably,
Who normally, how do you normally handle that?
we don't.
Okay.
This is like totally kind of like, here you go. Here's this
Okay.
awesome donation, which is great. But I'm like, yeah, we do not have the tools. We don't have the stands. This isn't something that we normally do. I know.
Okay. Yeah. So should reach out to Cascade. They'll put out a call for volunteers. They
Yeah.
may also have a shop that someone could
Yeah.
borrow or use. And then let me see if I can chase down someone at the bikery,
Yeah.
which to see if they would consider doing an event.
Yeah, that'd be great. I haven't connected. I've like gone on a couple of rides with the bikery just in my own time, but I
Okay.
don't have like a
I don't either.
professional connection with
Yeah, I don't, but I do with Cascade. So.
Okay. I know that Dunlap is interested in working with the bikery, so that would be a
Okay.
really nice partnership.
Yeah, the bikeries when I thought of it, Cascade.
Cascade is kind of, they're like, this is gonna be way too much time for our staff. Like if we're gonna.
No,
do
not for the
this-
staff, it'd have to be a call for volunteers.
Yes,
Yeah.
I did connect with them yesterday and they
cool.
said that they would put that call out, but they just need like a very specific, like, here's the.
Location,
here's the
time.
day, here's the, and then we might need to rent some stands from them unless we can source stands just from our volunteers who might have them. Yeah, so
There's enough people who have mobile stands.
that's what and we have a pretty strong crew of community volunteers around Dunlap South Shore, so
Cool.
I'm gonna put out the call to them too to see if they could swing up to Wing Luke. And that could be a really cool opportunity to expand our bike bus programs at or start like bike bus programs at Wing Luke and Hawthorne. Yeah, so if anyone is interested in a build party, thanks Ryan.
Yeah. How many do you need to build?
50 at each school.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Mary Ellen, Mary Ellen, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks, Brooke, for putting out that, notice about the House bill yesterday. And that along with that, I had gotten contacted earlier in the week by somebody from the governor's office, actually, about the Senate version of the same bill that would do several things to make it easier to have automatic camera traffic enforcement. But one of them is to allow non-police officers to review the tickets. And so I also testified about the Senate bill, the Senate version of it earlier this week. But I just thought that was also a really positive sign, you know, that the governor's office, see, they called me because I was quoted in an article that David Croman had written a few weeks ago about this. But I noticed over the break that the Seattle Times also had an editorial supporting changing it so that more people can review the tickets. And then, you know, we're not the ones calling, people are calling us. So it seems like there's a lot of momentum around making that change. So it seems very positive and hopefully it goes through. Also, when they, or last week when I did get that call, the person in the governor's office said there wasn't yet a House companion bill up and running. So I was surprised to see your email about that yesterday, Brooke, because that's a really quick turnaround, which I think is also a good sign.
Great, thanks, Mary Ellen.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so bike distribution. Oh, a couple weeks or last week, Sarah and Diane and I were doing some art engagement at Emerson to help make their designs for their permanent school street. So that was very fun and very wholesome. Yeah, just working with the students to come up with designs. So that's been keeping us busy. Yeah, and then I'll kind of move into my future current projects and what I'm kind of projecting moving forward.
Before you do
Yeah.
that, I said,
Yeah.
once you have dates and location for the bike assembly work
Yeah.
party, just let us know so we can blast it in our social
Okay.
media and get you as
Awesome.
many working hands as possible.
Awesome, thank you. And yeah, before I move forward, is there any other questions, or Sarah, Fred, anything else that I missed for kind of like what we've been up to in the last month?
Well,
So, thanks.
I was just curious, you talked about the statewide leadership for Safe Routes to School, and I wondered which areas are mostly represented? Like, where do you see like overrepresentation or underrepresentation?
Yeah, definitely Western Washington. So Olympia and Tacoma both have a strong presence there, and less representation in Eastern Washington. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So something that I'll be working on in the next month or so is procuring some more documents. One is to provide more information for volunteers who sign up. So I'm kind of taking that Safe Routes, like, is it Safe Routes campaign guide for how to create a walking school bus, but taking that walking school bus section and making it a little bit more like tangible and digestible for, let's say, a new volunteer comes on, they want to know what the role is, what's expected of them, and how that actually works. Because we've had a call for multilingual volunteers who want to get involved, and I've seen this at other schools where they're trying to recruit more volunteers and getting a better idea, more information about what that role actually entails and how it works and what the resources are, and what the safety concerns are. So I'm going to compile a document and then get that translated. So that'll be kind of a living volunteer info sheet to have, as well as thinking about what sort of training resources or information we might want to have going into spring as some of our programs expand and get back up and running. So yeah, thinking about, do we want like an in-person bike bus training? Do we want some sort of document that I can send out if someone's interested in starting a bike bus for like, here's what you need to know? Or just, I connected with Cascade yesterday and I'll pull some of the resources that they already have, just put it in one specific area, one document. But that also reminds me that if you all have ideas for right now, kind of in the winter planning phase and making some of these documents, if you all have ideas of like, okay, when I envisioned this role, I was really hoping that we could get some documentation on this or that we just need a place for people to be able to find this specific type of information. If you have ideas for that, please let me know and I can work on kind of drafting those things in the next couple months leading into spring. Yeah, and let's see, and then just some bike month prep coming up. So I'll be updating the documents that Cascade hosts on their website for bike month engagement, which Sarah connected with AJ about last year. So I'll just look through those. And then we're gonna have working with Bikeworks to put on a bike mobile event. So they're gonna bring their van out and do some repairs. I think we'll do it maybe at Dunlap South Shore, like at that playground area. And potentially one near MLK and Aki Karosi, because I know that MLK requested some service for their bikes. But yeah, trying to kind of bolster that relationship with Bikeworks because they're such a great community resource. But yeah, I'll start like a small contract with them and just pay them for their work on repairing bikes. I know that there's been like a big family bike swap in the past, which I think would be really cool, but I don't know. I think Bikeworks used to host that. I don't think that they do that anymore. But yeah, kind of in relation to that, host an event for servicing bikes and just like getting people excited about Bike Bus, maybe identifying some volunteers, getting volunteers trained, kind of all of that in one. And oh yeah,
Do you have a
and
relationship with GNO at all?
no,
Family Cycling in
they're
Greenwood?
closing.
Oh, no.
I know,
Okay, well,
but I don't, and they would be a really good one.
okay. I don't really, I, they went a couple times, but yeah, they would be, they don't have an event space for it, but they might know someone. Oh, that's sad though. Okay.
Yeah, if you have a connection there.
Not really. So,
Yeah, they're closing this week. It's all pretty abrupt.
Oh my gosh. I
wait,
didn't
what's
realize
that?
What's
GNO Family Cyclery. Yeah. Brooke,
That's where I bought
wonder
my
if you-
e-bike from. I'm very sad about them closing.
Aw.
Who's closing?
GNO in Greenwood, they're a family cycling specialty bike shop. They're one of the only providers of cargo bikes, European cargo bikes in the area. And they have cute kid bikes and kinds of useful stuff, but that's sad. No, darn, that's what I thought of. Oh.
Mhm.
I was just gonna say, Brooke, I don't know if maybe you said it and I missed it. My kids' elementary, Green Lake, had previously worked with Cascade Bicycle Club to support bike rodeo for several years in a row. And that just if you're doing bike events, that might, they already have materials to help set it up, and that's really fun for kids. And they might happen at the same time, and just I don't know if you're familiar with bike rodeos.
Yeah, when I connected with them yesterday, I asked them about that, like, would they want to come out and run a bike rodeo, or could we just use their events? And they were like, you could, or their materials, and they were like,
Yeah.
you can totally just request their box. They said it's not that different. The materials that they offer aren't that different from what students get in school, in their Let's Go. But, Let's Go is awesome and a great resource, and it'd be nice to kind of reinforce that learning and build on that. So,
Well, so if you're offering, it'd be great to offer it at the same time, to offer the bike repair at the same time.
yeah.
I was just that if there's an event, more people might, more kids might go if it's like, well, I got to show up at this time for the backwards race,
Yeah.
or the slow race. I forget how they have a few silly events like that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think that'd be great. Yeah. Oh, the only other thing I was going to say is that I'm also involved with the bike affinity group for SPS, which is a small but mighty community of different staff bikers. And so I've gotten looped into that, which is very fun. And it has helped me identify bike contacts at some different schools. TOPS K8, they have a great turnout, so props to them. There's like 5 different TOPS people. They make up like majority of the bike affinity group. But yeah, some folks with that group are hoping that we can all participate as staff in Bike Month. And so I'll probably be helping make some sort of bike repair, bike event also at SPS, probably at the district office, but potentially out on site. And then we were talking about maybe having like some different meetup points for staff to ride in together. So kind of like tangential, not completely related to our work, but I think it does build upon it nicely, as just having those contacts in school and knowing who's already riding.
Which
So
month is Bike Month again?
that's in May.
May, okay.
Yep, that's all I got.
You're muted, Noah.
Sorry, I want to say that we're way ahead of schedule. Sarah, you have any additional updates?
Yeah. I have a few photos to share. So I know we've talked about traffic gardens, but I don't know if we've showed any photos of a real life traffic garden, right? So this one's at Kimball Elementary, and the SPS team was able to get this painted before this brand new school building opened this fall, last fall. This is my daughter riding it. We just checked it out on a weekend. It's really neat. And it's just been a really cool partnership with the capital projects team at SPS. They're really the ones that get the credit for this. But this started because of our work with Cascade Bicycle Club on Let's Go. Ashley worked this into the contract with them to work with schools and work with a traffic garden design consultant to design these traffic gardens. And they're out at 4 schools now, I think. So solely the goal is to paint one at every elementary.
The new one at West Seattle Elementary is awesome too.
Yeah, have you seen that one?
We showed a picture of it earlier, but I rode
Oh,
over there
okay.
the other day. Yeah,
Nice.
it's got an awesome racetrack.
Yeah, that one's kind of neat because the school really cared about keeping their 2 basketball courts there, which makes sense. And so, yeah, they put maybe we did show this image where they put the traffic guard between the 2 basketball courts. So yeah, it does make
It
like
seems to have a
racetrack.
dual use. It seems to have a dual use as a sprinting course for the kids. I went by at recess and they were running races on the length of it. It was cute.
Good, that's good to hear. Yeah, we want it to have multiple uses. Cool.
So could you remind me what are the 4 schools?
West Seattle Elementary, Kimball Elementary, Viewlands. Brooke, can you think of is there one that I'm missing?
I'm looking. Yeah, I know that you sent it in that email. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Okay. Oh, James Baldwin. I just don't know if that one's officially done and open. Those are at 4. Okay. Also at Kimball, a new RFB, and this is in progress still, but there should be a crosswalk here. We're going to be moving the school flashing beacons to get a better crossing to their main entrance. So I took this picture about a month ago. This Brooke just reminded me, so I thought I'd pull up a couple pictures of the art at Emerson Elementary. So yeah, we were in the art classroom for 3 days, and the eagle is the mascot for Emerson Elementary. And so kids are designing art to go into the eagle that will be kind of inspiration for what we can put in thermoplastic in the street as we make their school street permanent, hopefully later this year. It was pretty neat. And this is Davi, who's our like in-house SDOT artist who got to come with us too. Oh, and then you asked for an update about the walk that we did at Concord and at John Stanford Elementary. So at Concord, it's at least within the Seattle Transportation Plan to make that main busy street that we walked to, 14th Avenue South, to rechannelize that to put in bike lanes. So it's in the Seattle Transportation Plan, and you know, that's a 20-year plan. And so that could be something to keep in mind if that's something that this group wants to help advocate for. In the shorter term, our Safe Routes to School program is funding no right on red signs to go there. We checked and there's already a leading pedestrian interval there. So those are a couple of smaller fixes. And then Diane and I are also working on a walkway project right there on Henderson, which is where we walked along to get to 14th. Because right now there is a bit of a asphalt space to walk on, but there's no curb between the walkway and the street. And so a lot of times people are parking on the grass and sometimes impeding on the sidewalk. And so hopefully this year we're going to be able to get in, putting in wheel stops to designate that sidewalk space. And we're going to plant a bunch of trees because that's an area that's in need of more tree canopy. And then Concord has a couple other things going on too that were already in the works, like curb ramps at 2 intersections right next to the school.
That's nice to do trees as a multi-purpose feature. I feel like that's a great. And that can be funded through Safe Routes to School, or is that some sort of? Oh wow, nice.
Yeah, this is something that Ashley started, and I'm so grateful, is setting aside funding just for trees each year. And so we have a good partnership now with Urban Forestry on like how we do that. This past fall, because of that, we were able to plant trees along the bike, bus, and walk group route to Dunlap Elementary in South Shore and like along the Stay Healthy Street. And then John's.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Oh, wait. I want to jump into,
Sorry.
Mary Ellen, do you want to go first?
Well, I'm curious about how the tree program's going. How many of them are living? You know, you mentioned you're going to put in curb stops and then trees, which is good. But, you know, a lot of the small, once they get big, they can act as sort of a deterrent. But when they're small, they're just easily driven over. And so I'm curious if you guys how much success you're having there, if you're finding.
Yeah, I think that wheel stop protection is really important because yeah, sometimes it does happen that trees get driven over.
Yeah.
As far as I know, so the year before we planted trees along the Othello Rainier Beach Healthy Street leading to Dunlap. Ashley and the Urban Forestry team got them planted by Aki Kurosi, and I go by there quite a bit. They're looking great.
Okay, that's good to hear.
And then
Oh yeah, I was gonna just add in thinking of Henderson and down by South Shore, that area. Another kind of partnership that I found helpful is I connected in working with their family support worker to get those bikes delivered to them. I also connected with the housing partnerships manager, which Sarah has connected with Salam before, but she was, so thanks for kind of forging that relationship. And that was super helpful to connect with her. So I'm excited about connecting more with the community partnerships team in general at SPS. But yeah, specifically the housing partnerships will be awesome because she has an idea of which apartments and housing agencies are interested in student attendance or have youth programs, and she would be able to connect me with folks who might be able to find families who are interested in walk groups or find volunteers who would be interested in leading walk groups. She's like building a resource center at Broadview Thompson, which is another one of the schools that we've identified as a priority. So yeah, I'm excited about that relationship and getting to learn more about different housing agencies that SPS partners with.
Yeah, she's great. Up at John Stanford International Elementary, we are pursuing 2 always stops now that we have that revised always stop policy. So 2 always stops right there at the entrance to the school. And then we're collecting data on Fifth Avenue right there where we talked about potentially putting in a traffic diverter. And so we're analyzing the data now to see what we could do there.
What school was that?
John Stanford Elementary.
In Stanford, okay.
Do you know when that decision will be expected approximately?
No. So just something like a traffic diverter is just like a, pretty substantial change. And so it would also, a lot of the concern is that where the cars would go, where it would divert traffic to. And so it would take some significant outreach.
So when would be a good time to check back in on that?
We could at least, I don't know, would like late summer be reasonable?
And sorry to pivot back to Concord, but you mentioned that there on 14th, there's in the master plan, there's rechannelization, and that's a street where there's some.
Sorry, Mary Ellen, you just froze for me.
Yeah, may as well. Okay, well, I think when Mary Ellen will come, we can continue the. Oh, you're back.
I think I'm back. Yeah.
What was your question?
I think it's just froze again.
I don't know. Can you hear me at all?
Oh,
No.
now you're back.
Okay. So talking about that rechannelization you brought up on, I think 14th, you said it's in the master plan. What process is the city, looking at for when they're deciding which to prioritize?
Right. This would be like part of the bike master plan team and prioritization. And so I don't know the specifics.
Okay. Is there like because there are a lot of things in the master plan, just trying to figure out where to start, where
Would we invite someone from that group to come talk to us? Or am I misunderstanding the situation?
It's not like begun as a project. And so maybe, I think there will be people wanting to come and talk about the levy with this group soon. Maybe that's already scheduled for next month. And so that could be a good time to ask about it.
Yeah, but talking about the levy, you're talking about Director Spott's presentation about the funding. Okay.
Like renewing, yeah, renewing the Move Seattle levy.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Well,
Anything
well,
else?
While we're on the levy topic, I was approached by a sort of a coalition that I guess is forming. Disability Rights Washington and Seattle Neighborhood Greenways and some other folks are interested in making sure that the next transportation levy is fully multimodal and represents a broader, the full range of transportation needs for the city. Apparently the rumor is, I feel weird saying rumors, but the rumor is that the sort of current administration's goal is to have it pretty small and limited toward cars. Now that may be I don't know. That's a rumor as far as I know, but I do think that this body might have thoughts or opinions or suggestions on, making sure that school traffic safety does get to be part of the conversation in what sort of shape the next levy should take. And I don't know if we want to have that as a formal thing where we have like a letter, like we believe these things, should be part of the levy, or we just sort of, I could keep tracking what.
I think that could be a really good conversation for us next month after the presentation about the levy. So we'll know exactly where the thinking is and what, and we'll have an opportunity to speak with Director Spotts or whoever he's going to send from his office.
Should we set up a subcommittee just in case it's in between discussion?
I would
Sure.
join.
Is that Brooke?
Yes, Brooke is going to join.
Perfect. I can be on the subcommittee, me and Brooke.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I can join.
Yay!
All right, so I think we
Subcommittee,
need a
Noah,
formal
Brooke,
vote then, right?
What did you say, Mariam?
I think we need to
Does-
vote it. I vote for a subcommittee, Margaret, Noah, and Brooke, to look into, what do you want to call it?
levy,
Go Marilyn.
levy oversight or levy suggestion committee.
And that
So
we're
moved.
talking about the levy that is it's gonna come in November. Okay.
Levy planning committee.
Yes. 2024.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion. We'll need somebody to second it.
Second,
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion passed. Now we're free to chat away about adulthood is so glamorous. Sarah, I believe we're.
Oh, sorry, those are all my updates.
Oh, okay. Great. By the way, on that note, I'll say that next month we're also going to have a presentation from SBS Capital Project about John Murray Elementary.
Ooh,
So
that's the first one in a while. I'm excited.
yeah, it's going to be a busy meeting. Okay, Mary Ellen?
Yeah, so let's see, we're looking at the Walk Zone Subcommittee update. I think about half of us are in the subcommittee, so, but updates for those who aren't is that we met again and we, I think we're fine tuning that rubric, figuring out what score is too high for kids to be expected to cross solo. And we all agreed after the meeting that we need to, move the schedule along. We have some quarterly time selected, but for several months, I think we're going to try and meet more frequently, like approximately monthly, so that we can all remember what's happening and get ourselves up and running better. So we have another meeting scheduled for February. And I was just looking yesterday at some intersections around Emerson Elementary, and gonna finish that up this afternoon so that we can get some more scored before our next meeting. The progress is being made. What do you guys want to add who were there at the last meeting?
I think that's a good, I think it's a good summary. I
Okay.
think the opportunity is for, as you noted, sort of like, okay, can we get the rubric to such that we can really quickly just roll through and not have to stare at every single intersection?
Not have to walk all the intersections around all 130 schools or
Yeah.
whatever.
Definitely no good.
I was sorry to miss it, and I'm hoping to make subsequent ones. Thanks for carrying it forward.
So I'd say the process is surprisingly slow.
Well, you were not involved in the last round. I am not surprised.
Painstakingly
It is,
slow.
yeah, it is painstaking. Yeah. I think that's why we have to, I was realizing, talking to Noah as we were leaving, that we need to make a little instruction sheet so that we have like an orientation sheet and an official process. So that as turnout, because it's got to be an ongoing process and it takes multiple years to review all of the schools. So we have to just plan on constant, turnover of who's doing it and try and have it as a continuous rotating process that's still consistently done. So I think that should be a priority once we get things, because now once we get that rubric solidified, once we get our cutoff point solidified, it should be a priority to make some instructions so that new people can join and know what's going on. Yeah. And so then let's see, moving to the land use code update. And the update is I checked in with Shonda Emery, and she when I suggested that maybe it was slowing down, she seemed a little getting bogged down. She was adamant that it is moving, it is happening, but that we should check in with our new council members, but not too aggressively. So,
Not too soon.
not too soon, exactly.
Not too often. No, I added not too often, but
What is the name of that person so I can put it in the notes?
Shonda Emery. So it's CHANDA EMERY.
CH?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And she's with the city council?
She's SDCI, Seattle Department of Construction and Inspections.
Aha, okay, thank you.
do we know who's the new council member on the land use committee? The new chair? Last time I checked.
Yes.
Sorry.
They did just do the committees.
Mm-hmm. Yes, when I looked a couple of weeks ago, they still didn't have the new committee up there.
Mm-hmm. We should check it again.
Right, Tammy Morales.
That's what I thought.
Ryan
It's not
Packer,
updated. Not updated.
The chair of the land use committee, that's the question?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tammy Morales.
Tammy Morales. Does anyone have any connections to Tammy Morales? I haven't succeeded in getting a meeting with her in the past.
is that she's the county land use committee then? Isn't she gone from the city?
No,
council?
Yeah,
Teresa.
Mosqueda.
that's true.
Yeah.
What?
Teresa Mosqueda.
No, Morales is still there, and I mean, I'm not in D2, but it's basically the next block, and
Okay,
but if you're trying to get a meeting with her, maybe connect offline, and I can help with that. I can, and not that I have great, but I certainly have friends who are in D2 who could.
Yeah, who could ping her as a constituent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we know who else is on the committee? Because the city's website still has Dan Strauss as chair. And
I think Strauss is still on the committee. That's what I heard. We should check in on it.
because I can reach out to Strauss.
Okay. That's
He's
great.
my council member.
Nice.
Yeah, and I asked Shonda if we could pencil her in for next month to give an update, and she asked that we not do that. And I had also asked her how we would know if it was stalled, and she says that I should share that it is not stalled, but she didn't answer the question about how we would know if it's getting stalled out. So I don't know.
so it sounds stalled.
Yeah.
So it looks like it's Kathy Moore, Maryland's her constituent, Dan Strauss.
Where do you see it?
Oh, someone put a link in the chat. I think maybe Ryan Packer. Maritza Rivera, which is D4. I could get my aunt to contact her. And Tammy Morales is the chair. So.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, I was just trying to pull that up. Thank you, Ryan.
I don't know if this will work. I'll put a link to the, which may or may not work.
Yeah,
But
that's
maybe-
on the city council website. They still have the old committee.
Hmm.
How will they decide where the new committee member go or the new council member goes? What committees they go on? I wonder.
I think they're already assigned.
Yeah.
There it is.
Oh, okay.
They're already on like the transportation committee.
Oh yeah. Should we see who's on that? That'd be fun.
Rob Sagas, the chair of the transportation committee.
Right, your guy. Hi. Bob Kettle, Joy Hollingsworth, who's mine, and Dan Strauss
Yeah.
again.
Oh no. I pay attention to that one.
Okay. I think it's a great segue to talk about our 2024 priorities. Kind of like what is it that we hope to achieve between the school year and the 2024 year and all the elections and levies. Because we have few fairly large ticket items, but fairly long range. And I just want to see if we are like on the same page. That we're looking at the statewide. Is everything okay there? Okay. Okay. Moving on. Well, I didn't know. Maybe they have like like a fire drill, earthquake drill or something.
No, I turned to cough and somehow my foot caught on the cable and the mic went shoom out under the table. So thank you, Brooke, for rescuing it.
So we're looking at the statewide effort, looking into automated ticketing and who can do that. And I don't know if it's something that we can or we want to put our like official committee letter. I guess, Sarah, I wonder where are we allowed and where are we not allowed to take up a stance and as a committee?
A stance, sorry, in terms of priorities?
Well, in general, in political things, like the automated enforcement tickets, the levy, it seems clear that we can, well, actually, I don't know if it's clear at all about what kind of stance can we take as an committee.
Yeah, go ahead, Mary Ellen.
Yeah, we've always taken stands on anything we want to in the past. Usually we will have volunteers writing any letters, volunteer members writing letters, because I know that, some employees of the school district or of the city are sometimes limited, but we volunteers can say whatever we want.
I mean, I will say that we definitely would not take committee positions on individual elected members of government. We're just about transportation policies that affect schools.
Yes.
Well, I think we're advocating for non-police certified, fully police certified enforcement of minor tickets from bus paddles and lights. That's one thing we're trying to do. And the second thing I know we're trying to do is this land use for this year. Those are two big things.
Here's my question. We kind of we've been rolling with a review of automated enforcement tickets. But since we have an SPD representative, is it something that we should take a vote on? Is it something I don't want the committee to be in a conflict of interest and something that impacts, one of our committee members.
Right. I think that's very legit, and I will stop talking and let Officer Davenport jump in. But I do want to say, I think when I've been involved, and I think all of us have been very careful to not say we're cutting them out.
Yes.
And I kind of feel like, I really appreciated Officer Davenport's, description of the body of work last time to provide the language to help figure out how to describe what we're saying, which is, augment rather than displace, I guess. I don't know. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Agree. Is Gary here today?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, you weren't showing up on mine.
Yeah, and not to put you on the spot, right?
Yeah, no, I can you hear me? My mic is off. Okay. The only thing that my thoughts on it are, of course, it is a body of work issue. And I don't know what the end result of cameras are going to be, say 50 years from now. I mean, I guess you can enforce lots of things. I remember them having, remember when you could call and report an HOV lane violator? And I guess we could move to have those be, you could enforce doing HOV violations by seeing somebody driving next to you. You could report it, and then they could be sent a ticket just by an individual that sees them violating it.
I don't
know where it all ends. Is kind of a, if a citizen sees a person drive through a red light and wants to assign that person a ticket,
Well,
do we move towards that? I mean, you know what I mean? This is a start of, well, if any citizen can do it, then any citizen can do it.
I think we're not saying any citizen can do it. We're saying a lower level of officer. It doesn't have to be certified, I mean, to be in dangerous situations and that kind of thing. Not a citizen, but a like parking meter people. It would be a person that would not be certified for all the physical and sort of, because right now we can't get enough policemen. And so this way, we just can't hire enough really qualified, wonderful policemen. So what we need is somebody that can look at video and say, yes, but that is certified and we know isn't going to be cheating and saying, oh, I hate Fred, I'm going to turn him in. You know,
right? That's what we want to avoid.
yes.
Yeah.
We're talking about another category of SPD employees.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the things I think, I know it's difficult coming out of a time where it appears that we lost some tickets. It's difficult for me. We have a system of checking to see who's like the numbers that were lost. And I've been working with our main guy that's doing red light right now and all of the camera systems. And he provided me with some numbers that, okay, it's weird because there's been the reports in the news and people have been talking about, hey, we're losing tickets. He just printed off last year's tickets for me that he's able to look at. And it was very, very few tickets that were lost for the school zones. Do you remember? I've talked about it before. We lost a lot of tickets that were the bridge, West Seattle Bridge access.
Bridge violations.
Yeah, the overpass. We lost a bunch of those tickets because the West Seattle people were driving over the lower bridge a lot. And so a lot of that blew us out of the water. We had the 3 people retire that were full-time camera enforcers. And so it was being covered on a very temporary basis by people that were injured or the like. It sounds funny to come and say, oh, I've looked at the numbers now and it's all good. I don't want to just say that without having like real solid numbers, but we're kind of looking, it seems to me that we're making a decision based on, hey, we lost a bunch of tickets, how are we going to solve this? And that's kind of like the 1 mile view. If we back up to the 10,000 foot view and can see, hey, were we losing tickets before? We went through a period where we did lose some tickets. And if we can look at it now that we're in 2023, we're not losing as many tickets. Have we passed or solved some of those issues without changing, changing the entire state
But we
law
are
that says-
talking about doubling the school zone cameras in
Right.
addition to other cameras. Mary Ellen?
Yeah, and we've also, you know, struggled with the bus paddle cameras, which are in their second year of not operating. And of course, that's not on SPD. That was King County that dropped it.
Right.
But it, you know, so staffing is an issue. I regardless of how many were lost, the capacity to take on, you know, a doubling of the program and the bus paddle cameras and then the new block the box cameras and red light cameras is something I think everybody agrees is the staffing is a question mark there.
Right.
Yeah.
From my point of view is here in Northgate where I live, we have a real hard time getting police for dangerous situations or for difficult situations. And I would rather have real police here than looking at videos of bus paddles.
So would we.
So that's kind of where my thought is on this is something that we could not have the real full level police. This poor young man that tried to work with my stolen car, and I had 2 guys from Redmond come down, and the time he was not able to, came and then had to leave and then came because there's just not enough police. And that's my thing is, okay, we could help the police by letting this off their plate so they can do real police work, the real stuff we really need.
Yeah.
Like
Gary,
worrying about my stolen car.
Gary, do you know if SPD has like an official stance, an official response, a testimony, or any kind of?
I don't believe they do. I wouldn't want to speak for them. And I know the guild does, like we talked about before, does believe it's a body of work. And you know, it's very similar to I think over the last 2 years they've tried to get the overriding of traffic signals for like large sporting events. That's gone to the legislator for 2 years to try to get it so that it wouldn't have to require a sworn police officer to direct traffic. I think that's been something that's come, and maybe I don't think it got out of committee last year or so. And it's a very similar argument. Do you need a sworn officer to override the lights, or could that be done by somebody like a traffic, the paddle people that have the stop signs and the construction people? So I think it's a very similar situation of whether should we be using our police officers to do what appears that could be done by a different person.
Yes.
And so I think those are the two same things. And I think, of course, the police department probably pushes back and says, well, the problem is hire more police officers for a 800,000 city. You can't have 800 officers for 800,000 people.
Well, and they can't get enough officers, apparently hiring officers.
So that is some of the trouble. So
Margaret, sorry.
No.
Yeah, no, I was just curious. If the numbers that your colleagues shared with you are something that you can share with us, I think that would be great. But as part of the discussion is we don't all know the numbers, like, and as Mary Ellen and others pointed out, like there's the numbers that we now know that can be processed in an average year, and then there's the like potential doubling, and then there's the school bus paddles, and sort of getting a sense of where we are. I mean, I don't know if that's shareable, that's great. If not.
Yeah, the thing that he warned me about was that the numbers that he has access to, there was another person that had some access to numbers, and when they shared both of those to the city council, there were some discrepancies in the total numbers. Say if the total was 300,000 or so, I think he said they were about 60,000 apart, and he couldn't figure out how or why that was happening. And so he was like, I don't want you to share and make policy decisions or so based on are his numbers correct, or is the other person's numbers correct? And that becomes difficult then when I share third party information on numbers. Just generalized, we did go through a section where we lost quite a few tickets. Nobody's denying that, but that numbers have greatly reduced. And yet, if we double the amount, you might run into that circumstance where we're losing some more, I guess, is of course the committee's worry.
Yeah. Those of us that keep an eye on the bill, do you know when it's supposed to come up? Like, how are we going to keep track of it?
I added it to my LobbyGov, which is tracking all the bills that I'm tracking for the session, so I can keep track of that one and let y'all know when it's moving or when there's going to be a hearing.
That'd be great. Thank you. Okay. Other priorities of the land use change. It seems, I don't know about stalling, but it seems like we're not making headway with the land use change. And it seems like we have a plan to reach out to two council members, Morales and Strauss. Yes, Kelsey.
I will try to reach out to George. I couldn't figure out how to get a hold of her this last time, and then I let it go for the same reason that the council was, her campaign was no longer taking numbers and the council was. So anyway, I'll work on that too.
Good, thank you.
Can I just ask a quick question back on that, Bill, before we move on? So I know we were talking about maybe doing some sort of letter or something along those lines, and we started talking about whether that would be a conflict of interest. Did we land on whether that was something we as a committee could do or would feel comfortable doing? Just wasn't sure where we landed on that.
Mary Ellen? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I don't think we made a decision, but it does seem like it would make sense to, I mean, we had it in our annual report as one of our, identified priorities. And now there are a couple of bills that would make it happen. So it'd be great to send out a letter, an official letter. Do people want to vote on it?
I just one question, or one not question, but I don't want anyone to feel like, so when we talk about this issue and whether we have non-police officers do this, it is not for me, you don't hurt it's just a process or whatever. It's not whether the committee writes a letter or something that doesn't, I am not offended at the conversation in any way. It's just a conversation, and it's really good to have. I mean, so that don't hold anything up because I'm on the committee.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want that to be a concern.
Well, I think the concern was, first of all, thank you. Yes. I think the concern was less, matter of feelings and more matter of like, conflict of interest and responsibilities and who's representing what and where and what you can or cannot do legally. Right. It's just, I want to make sure that
their participation is appreciated in there. I think feelings also matter for this kind of thing. So I appreciate that. Thanks.
Well, I move that Margaret draft a letter as the official secretary to send to have Kelsey deliver wherever we need to deliver it to.
I second.
Okay.
Elsie, you okay with that?
Yeah, I don't know how the delivery process works or how you all have done that in the past. I'm happy to read it and edit and provide thoughts, though. I'll probably have to do that outside of work hours. Otherwise, I have to count it as lobbying and like report that to the state. But I am happy to work on that letter with y'all.
Right. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passed. Now we are passing motions.
Margaret, I have that contact at the governor's office that would probably be happy to help us get it where it needs to go.
Thanks.
Mary Ellen, do you mind saying who it was? Or I'm just kind of curious.
Oh yeah, as John Snyder.
Ah, okay.
Do you know him?
I know of him. I'm not sure we've had many meetings together.
Is this the person we're going to send the letter to?
Yeah, or we can just ask him how we should officially submit it. He would likely know.
If we're already in the letter writing business, land use changes, is it time to write a letter? Or is that still, because it doesn't seem like we're gonna get a lot of headway with, just
I think
putting
an
up.
official letter would be good. Once you have a piece of paper, you have to do something with it. Usually.
Mary Ellen,
So
you had some thoughts across your face.
I was going to say we would give it another month to try and get some meetings scheduled with the members of the land use committee, since it's underway and officially the city's already supporting it. But I'm happy to do it either way.
Okay, so maybe we'll table it until February and see if we need to. Margaret needs to produce another letter.
Well, then Margaret only has to write one letter, so that's what. Take it off her plate.
And in terms of priorities for this year, I think the school streets are, the program's fantastic, and the move to make some of them permanent is fantastic. And I'd love to see, once they're done, if we could have some information on, like how much they cost, how much they think they will cost in the future, sort of an official follow-up, so that we can get it out there and say, look how cost effective this is. That's something I'd love to keep as a priority and be able to have a little bit of concrete data to continue to push it. And I know that, that's asking you for work, Sarah.
We can do that.
And Mary Ellen, I believe you expressed an interest in doing it at all schools. Like, is that I think you asked if it's possible to do it at all schools. Or am I
Well, I think we have, you can correct me, Sarah, if I'm wrong, but it's something around 14 right now that have the temporary right now, and 3 or 4 where they're moving to permanent. Mm-hmm. So both in terms of, how do we get more uptake from schools that have the, more temporary ones, more quick install, and then how do we move the program forward to convert more of them to permanent ones? I think to me, they seem like, clear priorities for our committee, and something that we should not lose track of.
Right. We have 13 right now, and we're converting 3 to permanent.
Mm-hmm. And are there any conversations about expanding it? And I guess schools that do not have school streets, is that because lack of need, lack of interest, or kind of like it should be in the pipeline and it will be kind of thing?
Yeah, school streets have always been opt-in, and so it's if the schools approach us because they want it. Um, Occasionally schools can't qualify, like because we can't close a block of arterial street. Um, and so as this is something that's helped with having a Safe Routes to School coordinator embedded in the district, is that I think more schools know about it. So at least on our end, we're happy to have as many like temporary school streets as schools want. Many schools don't want it for various reasons.
Thank you. Anything
Great.
else?
Go
Sorry.
ahead. I was just saying it's a new program. I think once you get those 3 built, maybe we can help, publicize it a little, and that we might get another wave of schools saying, hey, maybe that would be great to have, It's only like 3 years old.
Yeah, and I really like the pilot option. Like we can get signs, schools just fill out a form. We have our transportation operations team review it, and then as long as it's approved, we can get signs out there within a couple weeks. And we also deliver flyers to neighbors to let neighbors know. And so I think that that's been a model that works, of like a quick build. We can make tweaks as needed. And then if a school is interested in going permanent, we can, we would prioritize that based on equity year by year.
Do you believe that there are schools that could benefit from it, but are hesitant or have not expressed, or the schools that you think could benefit and you had conversations and they were hesitant for whatever reason?
Yeah, it's something that Brooke and I are always trying to put in front of school principals as an option whenever we can. But yeah, sometimes I think principals don't feel like it's the solution that'll work for them. I would encourage you all who have kids at schools to think about if it could be a good option for your school, and you could approach your principal to talk about it.
This is
And that's public or private.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is there any outreach to private schools? I don't know how that works, but I know that the example that we had for a while. Sorry, I'm not sure what's going on with my computer. The example we had for a while was a private school, a Catholic school, I think, in West Seattle. So that was a useful reference point, I think, beginning the program. And so anyway, I'll shut up now.
Private schools, I don't know if in the beginning of the program I've actually reached out, like how the word got out to private schools, I'm not sure. But right now, at least, we have these at 2 private schools. One is Hamlin Robinson and one is Holy Family. My guess is that if private schools reach out to us, we would offer this as an option, and sometimes they take it. I think Holy Family, that's down in White Center. They had been right next to H-Line Rapid Ride construction for a long time, and so their street was closed for a while, and they really liked that. And so they found us, and we were able to, because they happen to be in a little sliver that's still Seattle right of way, we were able to get them a school street. We just don't have, the same private school network that we obviously do for public schools.
Well, we have 3 minutes before Radcliffe is going to pop on and give us an update for the Seattle Transportation Plan. Is there anything else that we want to make sure is in our radar and is a priority as a committee? Anything else that you would like to put on the agenda, not for February probably, but like for March, April, that you want to bring for discussion? In slower mode?
Since I seem to be technologically handicapped, if I don't make it at the start of the meeting, could somebody take minutes until I get there?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, do we have a little list of priorities?
Well, it sounds like the automated ticketing, the levy, the school street, and the land use change.
Yeah, it's a pretty good list.
Well, I've got.
That'll keep us busy. There's the seasonal push for crossing guards. I feel like should always be.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
Mhm.
We never have enough crossing guards. It's too bad we can't go back to having police as crossing guards, which apparently started this committee.
whew,
Well,
50 years ago.
Hi, Radcliffe.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
good morning, Radcliffe.
Good morning. Are you ready for me to jump on and okay. Again, Radcliffe, Dak, and I from Seattle Department of Transportation and Policy and Planning Group. I'm here to give you a brief update on the Seattle Transportation Plan, where we're at with it, and also just want to also thank you again for your comment letter back in October. We received that, and staff have read your comments, all the different staff working on different parts of the plan. Understandably, the plan is very lofty in some ways, and sometimes doesn't have all the detail that you're hoping for to get there. This is sort of one part of the plan. There will be other parts of it that follow that help talk more in detail about the detail or the implementation of it actually. So sort of the odd way of saying the implementation plans that come after this. I know it's not all in plan, so understandably from your comments, that's disappointing, but we've taken some of the detail that you've asked and are looking at that and see how that will be addressed in some of the detail work post STP. And then another comment that you had around working with our partner agencies, Metro, WashDOT, Sound Transit. Those efforts continue as even if not mentioned in the STP, perhaps we will need to boost that up. But we're continuing to work closely with Sound Transit on the light rail expansion. We have certainly a group in our transit mobility who are focused on transit and working closely with King County Metro on our transit improvements and transit expansions, our transit only lanes. And as part of integration and better use of our right of way, we're also working with the freight community to see where in certain parts of the city, I would say acupuncture, if you will, where there is capacity in a transit only lane where we would allow freight to join that lane to also have mobility for freight through certain segments of transit only lanes. It wouldn't be the whole pathway, but it would be like a segment, I would say. Like if there was a bottleneck there for freight and there was capacity in the transit lane, we would allow that. But as I said, it would be very surgical in where we would be locating that. Before I go on, Margaret, I see your hand is out and you have a question.
Yeah, I'm curious about the freight thing that you raised. Would there be like some sort of thingy that freight vehicles have that lets the transit cameras know that they're legit? Or
Oh yeah, we
would anyone who says I'm trying to deliver something?
no. I will clarify. In some ways, you can think of this as a big vehicle lane. So really, we're aiming only for the big commercial trucks that need to get through a certain segment where they're, as more and more vehicles are going through there, it would be a bottleneck for not only the cars, but also for the trucks and also for transit. And we're saying that if there's still capacity within the transit lane, we would allow trucks at a certain sort of flow to enter that transit lane, to be able to use that transit lane in a way that for trucks seems like it's a truck only lane as well.
No, I get the logic. I'm just curious about the implementation because while I support facilitating movement of things that are not private cars, wherein the people have other options. A load of refrigerators does not have other options. I'm just curious about the implementation because if you allow big trucks, then are the small delivery trucks gonna, protest and then
Totally understand
the dilution of the whole situation?
Yeah, and I think we're going to do this as pilot to start and learn from that. Signage is going to be part of it, and saying only certain vehicles above a certain weight. So that's going to speak to the bigger trucks, and it will not allow smaller delivery trucks, delivery vans, and or even your Uber Eats driver can't hop in there just to make his delivery in a delivery only lane. And I think from that we can learn where we might be able to make adjustment in certain parts of the city. And I think all this again is to say we have limited right of way, and if you spoke to every group who is advocating for space, everyone wants their own space, right? And I'm like, well, that's just never gonna happen. And if we want our goods to move freely, if we want our buses and our people to move freely, and if we want to have space for a good public space and safe places to ride, there's going to be some overlap and sharing, and it could be done time dependent as well. And some parts of the day, it'll be more priority for XYZ. Other parts of the day, it might be different. So we're going to sort of adjust that as we learn through these pilots. But really, it's towards moving to being able to use our streets in a way that is much more integrated and not always just for one thing at 24/7. And another example is some places we want to have shared streets and prioritize for people. And of course, the business community often pushes back and says, hey, we need our deliveries to be done here. It's like, well, how about if we do deliveries at a certain time of day for you until say 6 in the morning, and then as businesses start to ramp up during the day, open up, no freight trucks or certain size freight deliveries could go into that space so that they wouldn't have conflict with people who are walking or people who are cycling in that shared space. So trying to do it on time base is also another way. We're trying to manage the right of way in a shared kind of way. But these are things that I think are talked about at high level in the STP, and details and implementation are still to follow. And then just does that help, Margaret, in addressing your question? Good enough. Okay. And last thing I'll say about that is from our freight engineers, they felt the larger trucks would be a great place to start, because most of those folks, if not all of those folks, should have professional driving licenses, and we have a way to reach out to groups in that professional group of drivers to say, these are the rules, this is how you follow, how you use these routes. By that notion, some folks are saying, why don't we apply that to even regular drivers? Regular drivers should be professional drivers as well, correct? Getting that driver's license says you have a license to drive on our streets because you know how to drive on our streets. But I will tell you, every single day I walk my kids to school, I see people zooming past red lights, not stopping behind the zebra stripes, parking up on the sidewalk. And I'm like, wow, all of these people have driver's licenses to be allowed to drive on our streets. So that's something we're talking about too, to elevate the safety of our streets, is to elevate the professionalism of all of us who also drive, or if we drive now and again, to do it in the best manner possible, and complement that with the appropriate level of enforcement, which I think we're all still struggling with, what that right balance is of police enforcement, automated enforcement, etc. So I'll leave it there with that question, and then just last comment addressing the draft project list. We saw your comments on those, and certainly have put those in the hopper for the levy team and also the project list team to weigh and consider as part of the tiering process. Go ahead, Mary Ellen.
Thank you. I appreciate your responses. Maybe you said I missed, our second point was asking about, that the plan doesn't really address how to connect areas that are currently cut apart by highways and arterials.
Right.
And that has an impact on students, because school assignment plans often, cross the freeway, cross Aurora, but bus routes don't, and walking routes don't, and biking routes don't. Is that something, is that feedback something that's being implemented into the revised plan at all?
I think, and not in as much detail as I think you all would like. This is something that our folks in like Ashley Reed have been pushing for. I think in the combination of our people streets and public space element and our PED element, to emphasize, at least at this policy level, to make those changes, but what those implementations are, a little bit more, not as much detail as I think we could have. There may be another round here where we get comments from the mayor's office say we need to put more of this stuff in. For example, how do we expand just even the school street opportunity beyond elementary school, right? And we've thought about, well, using schools as the civic place within an area, and go out, do sort of a quarter mile or even half mile access to that. And where we need to have safe crossing across large streets or even I-5, how do we make those connections safe? There's this balance of, well, maybe that's not in the STP, but that's in detailed work after the STP around every school. We're working with the Office of Planning and Community Development now and sort of the next phase of their urban centers studies, which could also include looking at schools and access to them in a safer way. And this, of course, would look at how do we cross safely these large streets.
So I appreciate that response. I guess I think that maybe the point isn't totally coming across though. So for example, when many of us attended the workshops looking, prior to the draft SCP coming out, the
Right.
city was kind of divided into quadrants, right? And
Right.
those quadrant dividers ran right along those arterials. So that even just looking at the map, there was no way to consider how you would get across I-5 because I-5 was the boundary, right?
Right.
And so what we saw when we reviewed the plan was that sort of bias is still in there, that there's no discussion about how do we reknit our communities on opposite sides of arterials. And while definitely we want to look at school streets and a quarter mile around the school, that's a priority for kids getting to school, but it's also a priority to be able to take the bus.
And then cross the street safely. Oh, we lost Mary Ellen there. I'm going to fill in and here. So there's a part that maybe we need to spotlight more about considering safe crossings on arterials. Hi, you're back, Mary Ellen. We lost you there on your last couple sentences, but the gist of what I'm hearing is it's about these connecting. How do we connect these streets that are typically divider streets, Aurora, MLK? If anything, a spotlight in the STP that addresses that to some degree is looking at where we can do more of these safe crossings across critical arterials and principal arterials. So there is a map in there where there's sort of a sprinkle of dots of this is where we're going to be looking at to enhance those crossings. And then on the I-5 part, I hope what remains and doesn't get cut out are some of the lidding ideas. Certainly that's not going to be in the next 5 years, but just the idea of creating that opportunity to knit back together our streets and our communities that are divided by these really big roadway infrastructure. And then with that, our timing right now is middle of February to release the mayor's, what we're calling the mayor's recommended plan to city council. I'm reading the tea leaves right now. There, of course, as we are doing a lot of internal work, there are a lot more comments that we're receiving, again, internally, that we're processing, and I have a feeling we may slip our mid-February timeline, but before March. So that's all I have right now. Nothing flashy around images or anything like that. But I'm happy to return next time around and share with you more of the updated maps and hopefully be able to focus on some of these other issues that you all are interested in.
Thank you, Radcliffe. Any questions or comments? Okay. Well, I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you, Noah. I didn't see you there, Noah, in the screen, but Good to hear you. All right. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.
Have a great weekend.
Bye, have a good day. Okay, with that, we don't have any further agenda items. If anybody wants to bring up either a topic for discussion or topic for discussion for next month or anything else, any other comments?
Whoever's in charge of recording this meeting, would you send me a copy so that I can get the minutes of the first part of the meeting?
Do we have time for a little bus update from SBS Director of Transportation,
Oh,
who I see we have?
we have time. Stephen? We have time. We may not have a SBS Director of Transportation.
I have, sorry, I'm handling an emergency at the current, trying to multitask. But I think I'm in a place now. Can I get back to you in about 30 seconds?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Merlin, for your minutes, just FYI, Mary Ellen made a motion to accept the minutes and Ryan second.
Okay, I have delegated that to somebody now, so I'm back. And I apologize. What can I answer for you guys? If
Okay.
anything.
Oh, I was just, we have a little extra time in our meeting. I was curious if there's an update on busing and how that's going and, you know.
Just really general.
Yeah.
But busing is going as opposed to any future plans we have, but busing is going better than I've ever seen it, smoothly. But as we mentioned before, as I probably mentioned here before, that comes with a price tag. And we're kind of, compared to other districts, we're sort of luxuriating and generosity at this point. So we'll see how long I can continue to convince people that that's a place where we should be. Because they're, you know, as you probably heard right now, the district is looking for any way it can to solve our budget crisis. And that's about all I have on that, unless anybody has any specific questions.
Merlin, you had your hand up?
Yeah, we've just been talking about priorities for the coming year, and it occurred to me that one thing maybe we should be thinking about is, again, trying to get the legislature to fund picking up, number one, people that are unhoused. I know you have to transport them all around the district, and that's expensive.
Well,
And my understanding is that that's not funded.
along
Oh,
those lines, I was just going to say there's a bill that's alive again this session that would fully fund school transportation. It died last year, and part of the reason it died was that there was a disagreement between the Senate and the House on whether third-party bus contractors should be required as part of the bill to provide benefits that are comparable to the benefits that school employees receive. And this year, it looks like that's that both versions of the bill have the same language on that, so that won't be a hurdle. But you know, it's always a question whether bills will get through in what form. But as of right now, there is a bill to fully fund public school transportation.
Do you have the number?
Yeah, I can find it. Hang on just a minute.
Okay.
Is that something, a letter that our committee could write to encourage would be helpful? So it seems like that's one thing that really costs Seattle a lot compared to a lot of places.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that if they want to set up another quick subcommittee.
I move
Definitely,
that
definitely would appreciate that. It's the sort of thing that gets spoken about a lot and never goes anywhere. So and I think part of that is because as soon as they realize how much that actually would mean increasing, the feet get cold immediately.
Okay, well, I move that Margaret write a letter.
Any second?
Second.
Okay. All in favors? All in favor?
Who seconded it? I didn't hear that.
Mary Ellen.
Okay.
Anyone else want to be on that subcommittee so we can get it out before the bill disappears? Ooh, perfect. Thanks,
Sure,
Diane.
I could be on this one.
Nice.
I don't think it would be appropriate for me or someone on my team to join that, but I'm happy to advise any wording or approaches to writing that anonymously, of course.
Advice is
Okay.
always helpful.
So we
Yeah.
have a motion for Margaret to write a letter with Mary Ellen and some potential feedback. Stephen, and we have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion passed. Mary Ellen, you still have your hands up. Is that because?
Oh, sorry.
Comment or is that?
Just didn't take it back down. I don't know if you saw there, Margaret. It's SB 5873. And I forget the number for the House companion. Scuttlebutt I have is that, right now it's written to fully fund everything, like everything, with and it would require some sort of audit after a couple of years for efficiency. We can hope, but it probably wouldn't go through in that form. But the scuttlebutt I have is that it's the sponsors, the people who've signed on, that some version of it is more likely to pass than it has been in previous years. So fingers crossed.
What about crossing guards?
Yeah, I think crossing guards are in there. And actually an active transportation coordinator is in there too.
Whoa.
Go big.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That is raining money.
Those are cheap compared to McKinney-Vento and special ed. So, probably they'll keep those in and cut the others out.
Well, actually, getting people being able to walk to school instead of busing eventually gets cheaper. I mean, that would eventually be a better deal.
And I guess my other question for Stephen is, does having the busing going more smoothly, though more expensively, does that provide your team space to deal with other things that maybe previously were not able to get to?
Depends on what you mean by my team. But I think the best answer is either no or perhaps hell no. I mean, you're not looking at a situation where like because the buses are running on time, therefore we have less work, right? Like that, there's not. I don't know how to explain to you why that's not an equation, but it's real. Honestly, what to the extent that it does do that, we're more likely to be digging out of holes that we've been in.
Yeah, I think that's maybe what Margaret was getting at. I think we've all been wondering if having it run more smoothly gives you the opportunity to do the analysis, to figure out how to fix the things that have been, those holes that you've just been chasing tails for several years. Like not last year so much, but before that, when everything wasn't working very well.
Never really had a problem doing the analysis per se, and the problem is getting people to is getting the results of that analysis passed. And getting more, there's, you know, this is why I'm concerned about the budget crunch and that sort of thing. We're looking at potential 3-tiering situation again. I mean, they're gonna look at everything, so that doesn't necessarily mean that will pass, but we're looking at that again. That, while technically more efficient, is also more fragile, like as a system, right? And so, and then if you do that, and then now you have, you know, eliminated 25 to 30% of the buses that you needed because you took that step, does that mean that we no longer need the second carrier? Because after all, we're saving so many buses. Why did we need 2 of those? And my short answer to that is, of course, well, I don't know. Go ask other transportation directors around the state and see what their situation is. But when you're in a situation where you know you're being, you're spending over budget to get, you know, a top quality service, after a while, people just like, they don't care. You know, that it hasn't hurt for a while, so they don't remember the pain. You know, so that's my concern right now. I am actively working on different models to present as possibilities because that's what I need to do. All the while secretly hoping that people reject them outright. For the sake of the buses running on time and the kids getting to school on time and all that sort of thing. And also because everybody, well, I shouldn't say everybody. It's easy to explain to some people why a 3-tier system is more efficient. It's also hard to explain to individuals why they need to bear the brunt of that. Individual people, individual schools. Somebody has to be in the tier that no one wants to be in. If it's you, right?
Mhm.
I'm talking
The-
real high
yeah.
level here, so if anybody wants me
Yeah.
to drill down on this a little more, let me know.
Is there, I mean, I know we're running out of time, but I've always been curious, you know, there's a lot of emphasis in decision making at SPS on student outcomes focused, right, is the idea. But is there any
Yeah.
way to explicitly, you know, pair an analysis of
I'm sorry, I think you froze up there, Mary Ellen.
Nice. Some kind of an analysis.
Let's all guess what she was going to say.
Well-
I bet. Oh no, she said
Okay.
no. We don't have to. Okay.
Well, I'm not
Here
gonna
you
get it
are.
on.
We're guessing what kind of analysis you're looking for.
just the trade-offs in terms of student experience, you know, likelihood, like that fragility, you know, the number of kids who have to be up at 5 a.m.
Are you talking about test scores?
scores.
Um,
Uh.
There's different opinions about what the studies of test scores illustrate.
I'm not looking at test scores. I'm just thinking about
Okay.
student experience, you
Oh.
know, like,
Would you
Yeah.
like to ask my high schooler if he would like to get up an hour earlier?
I mean, no. But also you were talking about the service, the quality of the service, the fragility of moving to 3 tiers, you know,
Yeah.
how do you weight that?
I think that's a good question, and one of the things that I think about and ponder and try to and could maybe use some help on is how do we illustrate why it is that we have what we have as a right now exemplary system, but you know, when you're looking at, hey, you've been over budget for many years, right? And we need you to be even more efficient than we were asking before. And all the costs we have are fixed. There's only so many levers to pull. So we either need to make the case for everybody else needs to figure out a way to save money, and we're going to keep doing what we're doing, or we're going to have to pull some of those levers.
Or maybe the budget's wrong. I mean, I feel like.
Well, I could agree with you there, but if and I would very much like Jeff Bezos to give us all the money that we need so that he can continue to operate his business in our city. But until that happens, budgets are going to be a real thing that we have to pay attention to. Or at least eventually.
Well,
I've been paying attention to him for a while, so I guess that's not completely true. But we have to pay attention to him now.
Thank you, Steve.
Well, yeah.
That's really interesting.
Now that you saw the budgetary issues,
Yes.
identifying Jeff Bezos as a
I mean, it doesn't have to just be Jeff Bezos. We've got more than one multi-billionaire. Here. So, at least two.
Well, the Gates Foundation funds my son's neighborhood school quite a bit, so I don't know.
Well, I'll give you my number.
Okay, I will. No.
Okay, well,
Since
Thank
you're
you,
doing this, that sometimes isn't a good idea. Thank you, Sarah. Or thank you, Noah.
thank you, everybody.
Bye,
Sarah,
everybody.
And Happy New Year. Day
Let's
19.
adjourn. Yeah.